My friends, it's a beautiful day. It stopped raining, the sun's back out. We're in 2019. It's going to be a great year. The video that I'm making is how do we transition from being an Uber driver or Lyft driver, sort of unhappy in our current situation, to a combination of Uber driver and limo driver, right? So it's a big, bold step. Many of you are renting cars, right? So you're accustomed to the fact that you will pay a weekly fee for a car, right? So let's just say if you're accustomed to pay a weekly fee for a Toyota hybrid, are you maybe ready to pay a weekly fee for a Suburban and step it up into SUV and black, right? Or are you perhaps even ready to buy a car because you've set enough money aside that you say, you know what, I'm just not happy with that $600-700 a week. I want to make at least $1,500, $2,000 per week, right? I've got the money, I've got a good credit or a semi-good credit, or maybe even a bad credit. If it's a real bad credit and the dealerships want to take advantage of you, I would suggest going the rental route. Now, where do we start? Firstly, a visit to the hub would be great. I just spoke to a wonderful gentleman called Calvin in DC, and he had this question, and he said, you know what, I'm ready to step it up. What do I do? Well, firstly, go down to the hub and find out, hey, what categories are currently open? What are you currently accepting? I know that in some cities, people may have heard, there's SUV and black there, but it could be that they've shut that category down or temporarily, right? That happened here in LA. So you don't want to go out, tie up a lease with a rental company or through an operator and then find out, oh my gosh, I can't even drive in that category. So step one, you truly have to take the time, go check in at the hub, 30 to 60 minutes waiting time. Hey, by the way, are you currently allowing these categories or vehicles? What are the steps? Get a little bit of info from them, right? Let them confirm. Now, the next thing is it's super, super important to shop around. Of course, you can do some Google searches. Like let's say you're looking in Washington, DC, you could put Uber Washington DC rentals, Uber Washington DC leases, Uber Washington DC limo services. You truly want to find an operator that is totally fine with you driving for Uber and then also operating as a limo driver. Some of the real good operators will give their drivers leads, right? They'll say, hey, by the way, we've got a passenger that needs to be picked up at the hotel at that morning, but you got to understand that we take 20 to 30% of that fare, right? That's one possibility. The main thing is that you start working on recruiting your own clientele, your own passengers. Best case scenario, you're driving for Uber and Lyft with this new SUV, and you also have the state limo license, the commercial license that you can actually carry private passengers. I've made numerous videos on how to recruit private clients, right? I go into a ton of length at ridesharedrivingschool.com, step-by-step guide exactly how to get those clients for your limo service. And then when you're driving with Uber and Lyft in SUV, firstly you will see a massive increase of earnings, especially if you come from the Uber X world or the Lyft regular class, or even from the XL Lyft and XL Uber classes. You will suddenly see a big jump in your earnings. You'll be putting in the same hours. Let's say you're putting an 8 to 10 hour shift and you were generating X with Uber or Lyft, and now you can compare the new figures that you're generating in SUV and black, for example, or select. Now you got to understand that that lease that you're signing, right, it may be 2.5 times as much as you were used to. You might have been paying $180 to $200 leasing or renting a UberX vehicle, and suddenly you're paying $500, $550, maybe even $600 for a Cadillac, renting a big SUV through an operator. When you approach the operator, it's just like when you're going shopping for an item or shopping for a car, whatever it may be. You have to compare apples and oranges. You have to compare prices. What are they offering me? What am I paying for it? And what do they want me to commit to? Anyone that wants you to sign a 1-year lease or more than a month lease, walk away. Don't even think about it. Don't even sign. Don't be desperate. Walk away, right? You want to have an escape clause. If they say, hey, you know what, you have to drive for a minimum of 1 month, okay, that's cool. I can do 4 weeks at, let's say 40, 50 hours a week. In those 4 weeks, I've done 160 to 200 hours. I can comfortably commit to that, right? You're not going to be losing money. You're going to be paying the operator, but most importantly, after 4 weeks, you'll be gathering enough data to get an average, right? I've worked X amount of hours over 1 month. My operating or lease fees that I had to pay were, let's say, 4 times $500, $2,000. I generated, let's say, 4 times $1,800, right? 4,000, that's another 3,200. I generated 7,200. I owed 2,000. I made $5,000 that month. Now you compare that $5,000 to what you were generating in an UberX category. Wow, suddenly I'm putting in the same hours, and this is totally worth it. Don't get frustrated. Don't get disheartened by the frequency of the trips, right? You might be sitting around at an airport and waiting a good 15, 20 minutes longer. Your intervals for those trips just take longer, right? There's less of a demand for an SUV versus an X, right? But again, big venues, concerts, sports arenas, airports, big hotels are safe bets. Safe bets are always being at good hotels with an SUV early in the morning, 5:30, 6 a.m., and you're going to get nice airport runs. I'm telling you, 1 or 2 of those SUV trips in the morning is more than you made driving 10 hours with X the entire day. But you have to be ready for it. And when I say ready for it, you have to be in the mental, you have to make a mental decision saying, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I'm done with X, I'm ready to explore. So the guy that I just spoke to, Mr. Purcell, I think it was, nicest guy from DC, had a lot of experience, good rating, that helps big time. Some of the operators might be looking at your trips, might be looking at your rating, otherwise they may not rent or lease that car to you. So that counts, my friends, right? But you could truly sense that this gentleman was ready to take the next step, right? I was in that very same position as him. I just went into this business knowing that I wanted to lease out cars, and I wanted to learn a little bit about every category. I wanted to learn about X, XL, Select, Black, Lux, SUV. I wanted to know the business inside out before I started buying cars and leasing them to people like you that may want to get into the combination of Uber driver, limo driver, or Lyft driver, Uber driver, limo driver, driving on 3 platforms, making the most money. I wanted to know the business. So the only way to understand the business was to just jump into the deep end of the pool and drive and learn, right? I quickly found out, X is not for me. Pool is not for me. And The upset about pool, it's very commonly known. You see it all across the board. There are hundreds and hundreds of messages in my channel each week about pool. You know, people, pool sucks, hate pool, I ignore pool rides. Okay, that's what you're getting if you're in that category. But you can get out of your comfort zone and jump in to a different category. This is not a marriage, right? You can hand in your divorce papers with an operator, with a limo, with a SUV category. Anytime you can go back to Select or back to X and say, you know, it's not me. I'm too frustrated, or it's just not me. It's too much pressure, or whatever. There's no commitment that you're signing to, right? You can leave and walk anytime. So to recap, visit your hub, shop around, go on Craigslist. There's a lot of operators. Go into the job section, put in the keywords like Uber and Lyft, see who's out there, see what they're demanding, see what cars they offer. Also look at the gas prices and the consumption of that vehicle. Look at the state of that vehicle. You want to make sure the seats are not burnt with cigarette stubs and the car smells like smoke. I would never, ever, ladies and gentlemen, rent a car that smells like smoke, right? It's got to be a fresh, clean car. You paying for it, so you got to demand a nice car. And then get out there, right? Register it. The operator is going to send your details to the insurance company. There is going to be a little bit of a lag time, I'd say about 2 weeks. And literally within 2 to 3 weeks after you sign those papers, you could be on the road. Then to recap, it's about hunting those A locations, right? Knowing your zip codes, knowing your high-end hotels, knowing your high-end shopping centers, knowing the airports, knowing the venue, setting yourself up a 30-day event calendar, getting your business cards made, maybe doing a website, setting up your social media so you can recruit a lot of private passengers, right? Again, go to my course, Rideshare, drivingschool.com, learn how to get those passengers, right? The marketing, social media wise and website wise is a key instrument on getting a lot of your private passengers. But I give you 4 or 5 other ways: coupons, etc., magazine advertising, attaching your cards, giving you a broad idea, but it's explained all in great detail at ridesharedrivingschool.com. If you have any questions about this video, do not hesitate. I'm on my way to the airport to pick up a client, to pick up a passenger, and I thought I'd make this video, which is already over 13 minutes, and go into a lot of detail as to what it means transitioning from a regular Uber X driver to an Uber driver in SUV, Uber driver, Lyft, and limo driver. Drive safe.